So I am going to create a claim statement, a claim with its evidence. And so you can see here that what I want to prove is Orestes is clever. Well, that is clear, it's opinion based, and it is reasonable given the reading, so it's fine as it is. So I start right off with my claim. So Orestes is clever. Now, what I have from the text is a great big long sentence of quote, and I don't want a long sentence of quotation. I need to summarize the evidence in my own words, so let me summarize. So I have my summary, and even though this is a summary, I have to cite it because we always cite information that comes from a text. But now that I have my summary, I'm going to look for places where I can work in a quote. Now, I notice right here, I say her son had died. That's very similar to the wording in the quote, so I'm going to pull the wording from the quote in. And now I have got a quote fragment inside my overall summary. So that's what I mean when I say correctly embedded, and the period is at the end where it's supposed to be. But now we need to talk about commentary. Commentary is where you explain yourself. Evidence by itself doesn't prove anything. You need to logically explain why that evidence is important. And what we're going to work on is a type of commentary that's called contrast. And what contrast commentary says is, okay, look, I'm trying to prove that Orestes is clever. The opposite of that would be stupid. Yes? And what contrast commentary says is, look, Orestes is clever. If he were stupid, this is what I would see. I don't see that. Therefore, he must be clever. So let me explain it in a different way. It's sort of like if I said, I have a fruit and I know it's either an orange or an apple. If it's an apple, I expect to see red skin. I have no red skin, therefore it must be an orange. It's a logic game. So this logic game helps us prove what it is that we're trying to prove with this claim. So you start any contrast commentary by setting up the opposite. If Orestes were stupid, what would that look like? Well, what would a stupid person, hello, dyslexia kicked in, sorry about that. If Orestes were stupid, what would that look like? If he were stupid, he would have charged right in. He would have directly attacked, and then the guards would have been put on him. Well, is that what he did? Did he stupidly charge straight in? No, because the opposite is not true. That must mean that he is clever. So you are proving something by showing the opposite. So if I want to prove to someone that my dog is safe, if I'm doing contrast commentary, I say, what's the opposite of safe? Dangerous. I then set it up with my if statement. If bear were dangerous, what would I look like? What would that look like? Well, if bear were dangerous, when he was petted very roughly, he would react. He would growl, he would bark, or he would try and get away. Is that true? Does he do that? No. In fact, when he's on campus and the special ed kids pet him too roughly, he tends to just wince and take it as if he understands that they don't mean any harm. So if the opposite is not true, then the thing I'm trying to prove is. So let's go back to Orestes and let's actually set up the contrast commentary. And contrast commentary always starts by going into that if statement. So I have an if statement. Now, what is the opposite of what I'm trying to prove? I'm trying to prove clever, so I go for the opposite. If Orestes were foolish, what would that have looked like? Well, if he were foolish, he would have charged right into the palace, swinging a sword, which would have given Clytemnestra time to call for the guards. That's what would have happened if he were stupid. Did that happen? No. The fact that he was smart enough to see that he couldn't win a fight by challenging directly proves that he is an exceptionally intelligent young man. So I start with what's not true. So if he were stupid, he would have done this. He didn't do that. Therefore, he must be smart. So you never lose track of the fact that you are trying to prove whatever you have in the opinion. So do not get confused and argue for the opposite. You're only bringing the opposite up so you can show that it didn't happen.